So there's not a day that goes by that somebody doesn't come to my DMs and say that I don't have enough money to invest, or, this small $250 a month isn't going to do anything. Inflation's going to outpace everything. It doesn't even matter at this point. So I just give up, and they throw their hands up in frustration. And so I'm going to show you today to, one, dispel that myth, but also to show how you could actually build a lot of wealth with a very small investment per month. And I'm going to use my daughters as an example here. So this is my daughter, Logan Lee, on the far left. She is 3 years old. And then we also have my little daughter that's 16 months in the middle. This is a baby photo of Ellie Gray. And so these are my two daughters, 3 and 1 years old. These are them, both of them together with me over here. And they have been born in both September birthdays, actually. But November 4th, 2021 was Logan. So she's 3 years old. And Ellie was September 14th, 2023. And so she's 1 year old. And so I'm going to show you the power of our small investment, of what it's actually become in just a short time span. So obviously, Ellie's 16 months. So the fact that she's 16 months shows you how much this can really grow. But also Logan's 3 years. So she's starting to have some runway on her investments from a time perspective. And time is the biggest wealth building factor by a long shot. And so for anybody out there that doesn't believe that they can make a huge sizable dent in their investments just because they don't have a ton of cash flow every single month, you'd be shocked if you actually do the basics that we talk about, but also just do it. And so I'm going to show you the exact numbers in the breakdown and everything. So for both of these girls, we do 3 specific investment accounts. If you want to know like the exact breakdown of each one and everything detail wise, feel free to, in the top right hand corner, to watch that video that breaks everything down for our children. But this is the high level. So the 529 in taxable brokerage, they both are being, for each child, we're putting $250 a month into these accounts. And so the 529, Ellie has $250 per month in the brokerage account, which is really in our name, but it's earmarked for Ellie in the future, would be $250 as well, for a total of $500. Same thing for Logan, $500 total, $250 split. I'll tell you how I arrived at those numbers in a second. But my point here is that, remember, back to the initial point of this video, is how a small amount adds up for your investments and why you should be starting now. Time is your biggest wealth building factor, and I'm going to show you why that matters so much and the sizable difference it makes, which we're talking like 7-figure differences if you know what you're doing. So in just 16 months, right? My daughter has been investing $500 a month, or we have been on her behalf, $250 in the 529, $250 in the brokerage. Ellie, now, let's call it January 21st, 2025, had a balance of $84.64 and $76.85, totaling $16,000. Pretty good. And that's 16 months old. So imagine that with time, with years, with decades, with 2 decades. By the time she's 20, she'd be investing for 2 decades at that point in time. That is life-changing, legendary money. Logan, for example, is a little ahead of the curve, obviously, from Ellie's age-wise. So she has more runway, right? But the same exact split. She has $21,000 in her 529 and $13,000 in the taxable brokerage, for a total of almost $35,000. Combined, these girls have $50,000 in net worth at the age of 1 and 3. If you think that you can't build wealth with a small amount of like $250 a month, you are crazy, because it's just pure math. And I'm going to show you exactly how I got to this. So the first question you might be asking me is like, how did I get this split between the 529 and brokerage? The first thing I always do, guys, and I think I encourage all parents to do, is make sure this $500 is figured out before you even do any splits. Just how much am I willing, or how much am I able to invest for my child? And you know what, guys, that number might be $50, 50, without an extra zero. And that's okay. Whatever you can do, just do, because it's a huge way to set your kid up for success in the future. So I'm going to pull up these 2 calculators here. The first one's a Vanguard College Cost Calculator, and this was very helpful for us along the way. And so what we decided to do, and this is just our personal belief as parents and stuff like that, is we walked through this. And so Logan was child 1, obviously. She was 1 year old, let's call it. She was going to attend college for 4 years, was the projection, around 18 years old. And then what we did, we actually did a public 4-year school in-state tuition at the time. This was back in when she was born, obviously. So it might not come out to be the exact number, but this is a public 4-year school in-state. And what we decided to do was say that we're going to provide a 4-year school, public school that is in-state for 4 years specifically, and we're only going to do 60%. So the percent we plan to cover is 60%. Our thinking and our logic behind this, and we use an 8% return, by the way, but our thinking behind this was that we would expect them to put a lot for, whether it be work, whether it be scholarship, whether it be side jobs, whatever the case is, to account for the other 40%. We don't want to be giving handouts without any expectation of work in return. there aren't any handouts in the family. I did a huge podcast on the reasoning behind this because a lot of parents don't understand that, but there's a lot to be said about gifting your child money, but also not creating a trust fund baby, quote unquote, at least the negative connotation around that. And you can do both. It's just called good parenting. So anyways, not to burst anybody's bubble, but I get that a lot. And so what we do is we looked at this right here. And so therefore, this would tell us exactly where we needed to be. Now, based on this is saying, hey, save an additional $174 a month to get to 60% of college in 18 years, which is going to be a total cost of $246. So our goal is to get to 147, which is 60%. And so based on our current savings, it tells you like 33% of the amount you plan to cover, because that's $100 a month is what's set up right now as. But an extra 174 would be 274, right? So when we did this math like a couple years ago, obviously college has changed. Some assumptions have changed. I think this might have been 6 at the time. We had exactly 250. And so therefore what we did was we took the total allocated balance, $500, and just subtracted out that 250. So it happens to be a split, but that doesn't mean that we came across of like, hey, let's just 50-50 it. We decided college is the number one priority. Anything additional is going to go elsewhere. And so therefore that's how we started this, how we planned for it. And that's how we got to the 250. Now, the other thing is once you understand your goals for your children, like I said, I have a whole entire video on like what we do for our children, why, and all that kind of stuff behind the scenes. But this video is really to show you how just a small amount really adds up. And so if you want to watch that video, you can go watch that. We also have a Roth IRA on top of this for the girls. But this other calculator is a child millionaire age calculator. This thing is awesome. And I'm going to put this in the show notes below because I think this will really, really inspire a lot of families out there to start helping with their children. So it's really simple. I'm going to walk through it, but it's pretty common sense. Is like, what's your child's current age? Let's just do Logan, for example. So her current age is 3 years old. Her monthly investment is, let's call it $500. Estimated return, I use 8, but like you can kind of use whatever you want. I can tell you right now, if you're an S&P 500 fund over the long haul, it's probably 10% reasonably speaking, but everybody has different beliefs around that. But I use 8%. I think it's totally fine. Let's say her starting amount is actually where she's at right now. So her starting amount is actually 34,776. So her starting amount is really where we're at current day. So based on this, if we do $500 a month at 8% returns, she would be 31 years old to reach $1 million. Estimated value of 18 is 319. And as you can tell, like obviously 318 is 15 years, which is not even half. And then you have less years from 18 to 31, but you somehow make the difference up. That's called compound interest. That 700,000 or 600,000 plus dollar swing over the next like 12 or 13 years is because the power of compound interest in time. So time is your biggest wealth building factor. And like I said, if you haven't started, start today. Don't beat yourself up about the past, but time is your biggest wealth building factor, and it's not even close. No return out there, no hot stock can beat that. So if I did this exact thing, I could also adjust this to 9%, which would turn that into 29 years old, 2 years ahead. Maybe I do 10%. I'm just S&P. Well, that would be 27 years old. And so these numbers will change. If you look at the difference, which is crazy, with a continued investment of $500 a month, your child becomes a millionaire by age 27. The power of compound interest turns growth of $184,000 of contributions into over $1 million. So do the math on that. If you look at this down here, you can see the total contributed in this gray right here. Look at all of this growth and look where it kind of starts really separating is pretty much age 15. So let's call it 12 years in. That's where the separation truly begins for the compound interest gains. And this is why time, small amounts for a long period of time work for you. And I don't know, I don't think 12 years is that long personally. I've lived 33 years and I feel like it's gone by in about a snap of a finger. So personally, I don't think 12 years is that long. And so if you think about this, you start at 20 years old, you can start this process at 20, even 15, 18, whatever the case is. 12 years is put you in your late 20s or early 30s. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm at 33 years old. I started when I was about 21-ish. And here we are financially free as a result. And we haven't even really seen a huge gap of compound interest occur yet. When we start to see that, our wealth is going to slowly just change with time, and it's really going to put us on a new stratosphere. And this is the thing, let's call it the middle class, do not understand, is the people that get really, really wealthy are getting wealthy from the compound interest and their money working for them, but they all did the contribution, the hard work up front for this to happen. Because theoretically, if I stopped contributing to this money or this account, I could technically continue to gain money and earn income because the investments are always going to work once your money's already up there and being invested. So the key to this is massively important. And so as you walk through this calculator, show your child, inspire them. Maybe they're 17 years old and you can show them how long it's going to take them to become a millionaire if they start today. And you show, 15 years. Well, Johnny, you're 17 at 32 years old. Budgetdog's 33, you're going to beat him. And that would be awesome to tell him and get him, encouraged and stuff like that. So anything you guys can do to make sure that your children, but also yourself, start today, and to realize and never be discouraged by a small amount. This is so powerful. And there's so many different tools out there, but this is a great tool to start with, especially because we kind of theme this around my daughters in particular. Is a small amount will add up. And like you can see here, $1,000 between the two over, let's call it a gap of 2 years, but then, Logan is separately for 1 year by herself, has gained $50,000. Pretty good. I think maybe grandma's money might have snuck in there, the $25 annual Christmas bonus that grandma gives us all the time. I think that went to the taxable brokerage 1 or 2 of those years. But other than that, it's just a very flat $500 a month. Keep it super simple. And this applies to anybody and everybody. This isn't just obviously children. This is just the example I used. But you can use this for yourself. You put this in your brokerage account and same thing would happen. But you have to get started now. And if you need any help, guys, send me a message. If you're looking to upgrade your life on this child calculator, you can see what we offer here, learn how you can join Budgetdog Academy and take this to the next level. My goal is to serve you guys, help you guys, give you guys resources. So I'm going to put this in the show notes below so that you guys have this going forward. And you can also inspire your children as well to become wealthy at a young age and teach them the right principles and the right values. And I'm looking forward to you guys. So I will see everybody next week. Budgetdog.